Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How y'all doing? Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest Manchester United news. We're going to be talking. Apparently, the Glazers seem certainly concerned about sort of Manchester United's financials. The only thing that they ever seem to be concerned about, to be honest. I'll just say right off the bat, where was your concern when we sort of finished 15th? Where was sort of the concern from the football standpoint? When we we sunk down into the Europa League, and then we're not in Europe at all. No concern there, no reported concern at all. But when it comes to commercial dealings, by the way, coming off of a record revenue year last year, which we made, they apparently they are quite concerned over some of the sponsorship deals, and we'll get into that, and we'll say why. Burmo is here, says, yo, what's up, buddy? We're also going to be doing United vs. Spurs, a little bit of a preview. Michael Carrick has done his pre-match press conference, so we'll get into that. He's updated us with the injuries. He's also spoke a little bit about, because of course it is the eve of the Munich air disaster, so he's talked a little bit about that as well. We're going to get into sort of the match and all that other stuff, and really I need to hit on this. The January market closed about 3 days ago, okay? And there has been a bunch of spin, including with the Glazers' financial concerns today. There's been a bunch of spin coming out by the journalists, which I would assume has been put out by the football club, trying to basically spin the fact that they didn't spend any money in January. And, a lot of people are sort of sitting in the camp of, well, at least we'll spend big in January. And I mean, in the summer. And it seems like they're trying to tone that down already. And, we're in February. So we are going to get into that as well. Please make sure you are smashing the like button, because it is a massive help to the channel. So if you want to support us, smash that like button. Get that done, people. We are, by the way, at 3,293 subscribers. We are trying. Let's hit 3,300. Ultimately, we want to get to 3,500. But we're 7 away. 7 away. I know the count on the screen hasn't showed it, but I'm telling you the official number is 3,293. We're 7 people away from 3,300. Massive achievement. But let's sort of let's get the boring stuff out of the way. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a bit important that we talk about it. We need to talk about it because it involves our football club, and it involves our shitty owners that run the football club, that then run it poorly because they care about money. So let's get the financial stuff out of the way. Then we'll jump to the real football stuff. I think we've had some updates about Kobe Mainoo's contract as well. We haven't been live for 2 days, so there's a couple things that we should probably cover and discuss. But let me jump into this financial situation here. The Athletic have done sort of a whole article about this, but as soon as I find it, here we go. So the Glazers reportedly today, the Glazers have reportedly expressed concern to Ineos and at their meeting that they have at United for financials, that they are concerned that there's a lack of sponsorship dealings. Both Avram and Joel Glazer have expressed internal concerns regarding Manchester United's commercial performance. Oh God. But I'll try and break this down a little bit in a way that's like not too boring, but does explain sort of why they may be concerned. But then also I'm going to flip it into why they're full of shit. So the article from The Athletic, which sort of broke this down very, very well, and I'll break it down even further. Manchester United achieved a record £330 million in commercial revenue last season, driven by Adidas and Qualcomm deals, but Glazer owners expressed concerns at a recent executive meeting over potential shortfalls from vacant training kit sponsorship and expiring shirt sleeve partner DXC. The club has rejected offers for a Florida preseason camp following player consultations prioritizing rest and mid-season friendlies from suitors like Kuwait, opting against disrupting schedules despite revenue potential. So there was an opportunity for Manchester United to do some sort of a Florida preseason camp, which ultimately, after discussion with the players and I guess the coaching staff at the time, it wasn't very favorited, so the club did not go ahead with it. I will say that is a positive, because in the past, Manchester United Football Club, the higher-ups, would have definitely forced them to do that, especially if it means that they're going to make money. They would have 100% forced them to do it, sort of how they kind of forced them to do those 2 matches at the end of last season because we needed money. The fact that they didn't force them and they sort of prioritized a bit more of the football aspect is a small W. But commercial department staff cuts of 24% contributed to losses like the Tezos NFT partnership, prompting increased oversight from executives like Jean-Claude Blanc to secure high-value deals and counter rivals' growth, such as Tottenham's 335% decade-long rise. So part of the Glazers' concern is that, we've lost a little bit of sponsorship deals here and there. 24% coming from just one sponsorship. We're down a certain amount of money there. Rivals are growing in sponsorship, which obviously those are your sort of, if you're the Glazers, they're your competing businesses. If you're a regular person and a human being and a football fan, it's kind of a deal. It's kind of a bit of a deal, but at the same time, we're more worried about the football, obviously. Renoso is here. What's up, my dog? Hello, everyone. What's up, Renoso? How you doing, buddy? So basically, we recorded a £330 million record sponsorship from sponsors last year. Okay? United have lost their training kit sponsor, which is Tezos, or was Tezos. So we've lost £24 million from that. The shirt sleeve sponsor that we have, which is DXC Technology, ends this season, which is another hole coming, which is why they are concerned. Ineos, part of the cuts that they did when they fired all those staff, 24% of the commercial team was let go, lost many experienced people, and apparently now it's harder to sign new big deals. They also declined extra money for warm weather training camp in Florida, mid-season friendly games. There was a couple. They haven't agreed to any yet. And we also had a big Netflix Amazon documentary, which was, I forgot the name of it, but that was on the table, and that was pulled because Ruben didn't want it and didn't feel comfortable with it, and felt like it was quite intrusive. So that one was pulled as well. So the Glazer owners are worried about the money gaps. New owner Ineos are now watching very closely and pushing for new deals. Other clubs, especially Tottenham, but also Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City, are growing their sponsor money, but much faster than United. United is still very rich from sponsorships, which is why I don't give a shit really about the Glazers' concerns, but they're missing big chunks of money, have fewer people to fix it, turn down easy cash, and their poor results on the pitch, well, from last year, are starting to hurt sponsor interest. The cracks are showing. They're not in a crisis yet. We're not in a crisis yet. But they're losing ground fast to rivals. Here's the thing. Many of the fans, and obviously nobody's going to have any sympathy for the Glazers because they're dickheads, but many of the fans, majority of the fans, for a long, long time have been saying, well, if you just ran the football club properly, in terms of if you actually had a proper football project and built a proper football team that competed at the highest levels and won things, you would make more money commercially, winning money from, the Premier League payout, the Champions League payout. So they've gone this route of basically milking Manchester United for its brand, right? Which they have done specifically hard over the last 12 years or so. They've really turned it up, since 2012. They've ramped it the hell up. While basically ignoring the football side or putting the football side, about third. we are now probably starting to hit the point where, for them, they definitely are worried, and we have been shouting and yelling about this for a while, because at some point, that was always going to sort of run out. I mean, you could only live sort of off the name for so long while letting it be shit for so long, okay? And listen, the fans aren't going anywhere. We still have a large, massive fan base, but brands like Adidas or other companies, there's better deals for them to do. They would like to associate themselves. I don't know, personally, me, all right, if I owned a company, I would not want my company to be associated with a team that is losers. I would go and try and do a deal with a team that's doing the right things on the field, that is being ultra successful on the pitch, and winning things. Because ultimately, when you win things, you're making big splashes in news, and people are, paying attention to you, and people like you, and you want your company associated with things that people like. And Manchester United has been in turmoil for 12 years now, and we've been ups and downs. And the only reason why we stay afloat, or the reason why the Glazers stay afloat with the way things are, is because basically, I have to make sort of a correction here. Last time I gave them credit, I said they're smart people, and because they seem to know how to continue to make money. But I do have to sort of step that back, because I was reading this and I started thinking, well, you know what? I was like, United was so big. I was like, you don't really have to be smart to make money from it, do you? I mean, you could have probably put a fucking 7-year-old in charge of the football club, and the club would probably just make money by itself, essentially. So we have hit this point. Axe is high. I'm eating. Okay. I hope it's good. But really, this ties more into the story of, essentially, the club has been pushing out a bunch of PR, all right, over the past couple days. After the market closed, which is, we got a report yesterday. Everybody get excited, jump out of your seats, because this means that we're golden. They came out with this report. It came from Express Sport, Daily Express, okay? And I think some other outlets put this out, but they said Manchester United have the highest 5-year net spend in the Premier League, investing about £675 million more than any other club. And this is not accurate, okay? This is done on purpose, because football fans, majority, maybe I might say, maybe not, I don't know, today's time, you get all types of people, but I would say we are not financial experts, okay? Most of us, all right? Also, we don't really want, like, the reason we watch football is because we want to be entertained. We like the sport. We don't really want to give a shit too much about the money. The money, we deal with money problems in our own life, okay? We worry about our bank accounts, taxes we gotta pay. We don't want to be worrying about money of our football club. We want to be watching our team play on the pitch, put the ball into the back of the net, win some goals, run around, celebrate, and talk shit to the other fans. But they put these things out, and it's misleading, okay? Number one, I've learned over my time, all right? And I have to give this guy credit. Terry Flewers, who worked in the financial space, and worked in the football financial space, okay? He's put me onto this from watching him a long time ago. And when you do the research, it's true, okay? Net spend is not real. It's real, but it's not real, okay? Because it's not really how the financials is done. It's not an accurate representation of the actual financials when you break it down. It's not how the club does its finances. It's not what the books look like. So when they tell us that Manchester United have the highest 5-year net spend in the Premier League, investing about 675 million more than any club, take that to the bank that it is basically bullshit. Okay? It's basically bullshit because all they're doing is adding up the totals that we spent in total for a transfer for a player and then subtracting it from what we sold. And then that's the difference you get. And that's your net spend. Okay, that doesn't work out correctly because number one, when you sign a player to a 4-year or 5-year deal, number one, that fee gets amortized. Okay, so that it gets split over the 5 years. So if you pay 50 million for 5 years, you're paying 10 million a year. So that 10 million is the only 10 million that goes on for the year. But also, they're not taking into account signing on bonuses, the wages, image deals, etc., etc. So they put these things out basically, they've put this out 2 days after the market has closed so that they can sort of flip it around and be like, yeah, we spent absolutely zero in January, but guys, listen, we spent 675 million pounds more than any other club. We spend money. Guys, we're spending a lot of money. We spend. Don't worry about it. And this is sort of what it is. It's all sort of trickery. It's all sort of, just bunch of bullshit. I told you they are dumb. Lauren says you're back. I keep missing the midweek broadcast. I wasn't live for 2 days. Cause I stick the League Cup on. What a snore. Tonight we are also watching France versus Ireland in Six Nations rugby. I'm not a rugby fan, can't say, but sounds interesting. Terry used to organize finance for footballers. He did. That's why I take his word. And he's a person I respect in the space, okay? He has his opinions, but also he does like to try and be as accurately correct as he can. Doesn't mean he gets everything right, but he's not really a guy that I take that he doesn't sit there and talk nonsense, okay? He doesn't talk fluff. He does try to get to the point. He does try to help people understand things. So I do respect that, and I used to watch his show a lot. I don't have time to watch these guys' shows, so I haven't watched the show in quite a bit, but I did learn quite a lot that I didn't used to know. Because, this post that came out yesterday, I said it sort of online, but I'll say it here. And I was like, this is why people like Terry are important, because in the past, when they put this out, I would have looked at this and I would have been like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like, we spend a lot of money, but it's bullshit. It's net spend isn't real. It's classic Glazer propaganda, still doing the rounds under Ineos. They pump out highest 5-year net spend headlines right after 0 January business. They tried to brainwash the fans into thinking we've got no cash for a proper summer rebuild or that we've spent a lot of money. And pretty much that's what it is. So, it's I just, I can't really stand this sort of stuff. Makes me boil because I just know that out there there are fans that are not aware of this and they eat this shit up and they think it's real and they don't understand what's like happening to them. They don't understand that this is just all, it's all bullshit from the Glazers. Okay. Like they just like they're already bits of the pieces of news that we're getting. All right. Already. The January market just closed. We're already getting like, oh, United may look to spend 200 million in the summer, but it really depends on the Champions League if they get it. And, there's a bit of a worry. Then you got another update saying like, United were looking to spend money in January, like a good chunk of it. They weighed up, if the club needed a sort of a vital push, but nothing really materialized out of it and this and that. And it's like, I and other people were talking about this in November. That you should be going in January and you should be getting a player. Any player. Not any player, but a player. Somebody. Something that's decently good. Anything to do some sort of decently good business. You don't have to break the bank. And then 2 days after it closes, this is the updates they give us. And it's like, so you're trying to prep us and you're trying to say that maybe we don't spend super big in the summer. While the whole time in January, you were basically promising people that we're going to have a massive rebuild in the midfield. And we're going to have a massive summer. And then 2 days after the window closes, they come and they tell you, well, it might not be that massive, all right? Hold your horses, everybody. Relax. It's not going to be that massive. We're going to spend some money, but it ain't going to be that massive. And this is why I get mad in this period, because it's like they've been doing this, and it's the same playbook. It's just that now Ineos controls the footballing side, so everybody talks about Ineos more than they talk about the Glazers. But the Glazers still own and run the football club, and Ineos doesn't have too much control over financials. Like the sackings that they did goes to football operations basically. But if the Glazers, let's just put it this way. If the Glazers want, they can decide to start taking dividends tomorrow. It has nothing to do with Ineos. Ineos can't do anything about that. If the Glazers decide and wake up tomorrow in this area, we want to continue to start taking in our yearly dividend like we were doing in the past, that they're not doing right now, because they sort of halted it. As far as I know, they halted it, and maybe they started it again, but it has nothing to do with Ineos. Ineos can't be like, no, you can't do that. They absolutely can. Lauren says, do you think we'll get 4th or 5th for Champions League? I think we need to take minimum 4 points from Liverpool and Chelsea. I think we can get 4th or 5th from where we are right now. I think we absolutely can. I think we need a little bit of luck in terms of we cannot afford to lose like Casemiro, which is, I think, quite risky, and we can't really afford to hit some sort of a, even a mini injury crisis wouldn't do us any favors. So, right now we're spread a little bit thin because of a lack of originally a lack of a winger. We've lost Dorgu. So I think we can get 4th or 5th, but I would feel more confident if we went and we bought like a player in January for like 35 million or something, and we added him to the squad in a position, whether it was a midfielder or a winger or something like that. But yeah, we are where we are right now, and right now we're on a good run. So I think we can do it. I don't see why not. I think it's there for grabs. Ultimately, we got to see how it plays out. The league, I don't think maybe it'll come down to we have to steal some points from, Chelsea or Liverpool or something like that. But ultimately, this league has been sort of all over the place. And sort of anything can happen any week. So we just got to take it one game at a time. We got Spurs coming up, and, this is a big one because they beat us like 4 times last season. And they're out of form, and we're home, and we need to beat them for sure. And we're 3 on the bounce, make it 4, and then we'll be 1 away from Frank getting a haircut as well. Reynoso says at this point, it requires no expertise to know that whatever the club puts out, especially with financial decisions, are a spin job. Frustrating when people still fall for it. It's just because some people just like, they don't, it's not, listen, not that I say I'll feel bad for them, because I think, I can't feel bad for people that are sort of ignorant, but some people just, it doesn't interest them. So they don't care. And, I can't really blame them for that, because as I said in the opening statement, like, as football fans, I don't really like to do these things. This isn't really what, I'm not a fan of football to talk about my club's finances. I'm a fan because of what we've done on the pitch throughout the history of our football club. And, I love the sport. I played the sport. I like playing the sport. I never wanted to like own a club or like run something, whatever, and be like some financial sort of manager or anything like that. That's not my interest. My interest is I like the sport. So, but yeah, and then but you got people out there that they just don't understand it. They just don't know. And my problem is the ones that don't know, that don't pay attention, that they don't want to pay attention, but then they run around opening their mouth against other people that try to speak out, and it's like you're not in a position to say things, you know. Like I've had people sometimes, and I put Glazer posts, and sometimes I think it's like Glazer bots or something. I put anti Glazer posts, or I say the Glazers have taken this money out, blah blah blah. They do this and stuff like that, and then you always get like two weirdos that respond, and they're like, they've spent money, and it's like, okay, they spent it like shit. Like what, you know, what are you defending? Who are you? Are you Joel on a fucking burner account right now? Like what's happening? I always find these people online. It's and they're not trolling. They're fucking serious. Like, cause I check, and you could tell if they're trolling. I could tell. No, like they're serious. Like they don't really understand why we're against the Glazers. They don't understand what we're saying. They don't get it. They think the Glazers are really good owners, and people are jealous of them, especially teams from like this, especially fans from like the smaller teams. And it's like, no, you guys don't understand. If you were in the same position as us, you're just talking from a point because your club doesn't have money, okay? And then you see us spend a bunch of money, and, you know, you're like, oh, you spend hundreds of millions. It's like, bro, but it's not good enough. Like, what are you talking about? Like, my friends are the same way. My friends that are my Portuguese friends that are friends of like the Portuguese teams, Porto, Benfica, like, they're always freaking out about trying, like, they're like, oh, they spend like 100 million on a player, like that's crazy, blah blah blah. They're always saying things, and I always tell them, I'm like, dude, 100 million is fucking peanuts nowadays. I'm like, maybe for you guys, because 100 million for the Portuguese league is a lot of money, but I was like, put it into perspective of the English Premier League. I was like, it's not a lot of money anymore. It's not. I am more than sick and tired of the Glazers. However, no important players was available for some winter. Plus, it's kind of risky to transfer in players considering that we'll have a new manager. Yeah, but see, I don't really buy that because that's not really how they're operating, is it? I don't really buy that because they sort of said the same thing, Axe, and I don't really buy that. You can buy. Listen, you can bring in a player and have them at the football club and be used if you know what you're doing. If you know how you're building the team out, okay, you know you're going to play a 4-2-3-1. This is what they set up. Okay, you can identify a player. You can take a certain level of a risk. It doesn't have to be an extreme level risk. You could take a medium level risk of a player in January and bring them into the football club. And when the manager comes in, that player that you bring in, the point is, the player that you bring in January, no matter what manager you sign, they should be at least be able to be given a chance by any manager in the world that you would bring into Manchester United. Because they should be that level of a player. Otherwise, you're just bringing in dog shit, which is then you suck at your job at recruiting. So, I don't really agree with that because they're doing the same thing like they always do. They don't want to spend money in January. They say, oh, it's a tough market, and and then they tell us, oh, our midfield targets are available in the summer, and it's like, well, there's no guarantee we're going to get them. And if we don't get Champions League, we're definitely not getting. Two of them are gone automatically, right off the bat. The financial plan for 2020s is Europa qualification, sad to say. Well, they definitely do projections, 100%. They definitely do projections, and they probably have a budget. They probably have a couple different budgets. They have a budget. They probably have about 3 budgets. One without Champions League football, projected. One with Europa League, and one with Champions League. I said without Champions League. I meant without European football. They probably have about 3 budgets projected. which would make sense to do. So you would have some sort of an indication. But my thing is just like I don't believe them because it's the same playbook. It's the same play. Like Ineos is here, okay, and they're the forefront of the football operations, but it's the same Glazer playbook every January. Don't bring anybody in January. Talk about the summer. Then there's always a potential shit goes wrong for the rest of the season, and then the summer's looking quite gloom. Now, to be fair, last season, okay, we finished 15th, and it went horribly wrong. And, you know, Sir Jim told us that we were going to go broke by Christmas. And then they told us that, you know, we weren't going to spend, or we weren't going to be able to spend money without selling. And we still spent a decent amount of money. So maybe they're doing this again. Maybe. But I just feel like it's sort of like the grinding down. It's the grinding down of the expectations that they do that bothers me, because it's like we want to make progress. That's ultimately why we ask for the transfers, okay? Because we know we need to get better players in so we can make better progress and move forward and move up and strengthen and, you know, keep up with everybody else that's also ahead of us. Like, we have to keep up with them. If not, try and make, you know, I don't know, 5% improvement on the gap, because there's a level of gap between us and them. So not only do we have to keep up with them, but at some point also we have to start closing the gap on them. And they operate in a way where they don't seem too interested in that, but then they come out and they're crying about fucking commercial deals. And it's like, well, many of us have told you. I mean, if you just properly invested the money and you had a proper football structure and you had people in that, you know, knew what you were doing. Like, if you didn't make Ed Woodward your CEO, and maybe if you didn't make Richard Arnold your CEO and had no football structure, and you had some competent football people in there, maybe you wouldn't be worried about your commercial deals right now, because maybe there'd be a fucking line of people lining up for shirt sponsorships and sleeve sponsorships if we were actually not shit for that length of period, and not going in and out and up and down and finishing 4th and finishing 6th and then finishing 8th and finishing 15th and, you know, going back up to now we're in 4th again, and, you know, going in Champions League, out of Champions League, into Europa League, back into Champions League, out of Europe completely. What gets me, it says Reynoso, is when I'm arguing with someone about January and they say I don't want to spend money on a short-term signing. Like, what the fuck, the Glazers even got you thinking it's your money we are saving? Well, that's the thing. It's like, that's what I'm talking about, Reynoso. It's like, because of what they say and because of how they operated this club, like, a partial section of our fans have become like worried about spending money, which should never be the case, because we should always be spending money. You cannot not spend money. Like, not spending money doesn't benefit us in any way. It only benefits the Glazers, because they don't have to spend money, and then eventually they might be able to take it out of the club in one way or another. The less that the club has to spend, the more they'll be able to take out in profit at some point. But that's sort of the point that I'm making. It's like, no. We should be spending money in January. We should be taking some sort of a risk in January. But we're not really in a position to sit there and do nothing. You know, Arsenal didn't sign anybody in January, okay? But I would argue Arsenal can take the gamble of not signing anybody in January because they're top of the league. And they've been really good this season, better than all the other teams, and they've also top of the Champions League. So they can make the argument like, we don't need to spend anything in January, we're fine. We are not near them. We're not near them, okay? Then you have clubs like City, who I would argue, obviously, their owners are way better than ours, and they invested money. Liverpool bought a player that's coming in at the end of the season for next season. They bought him in January and did the deal for them to come in. They spent, I think that was another big signing that they made as well. Large fee. And we sat there and we've done nothing. And they tell you, oh, because, you know, we don't know who the manager's going to be. Meanwhile, I don't agree with that statement because, well, when we had a manager here, okay, our manager wanted Ollie Watkins and he wanted Emi Martinez, and he didn't get those players. So the club went and got the players that they wanted to anyway. So why can't the club go and get the players that they want to now? It's not like you're signing 4 or 5 players without a manager. You're signing one guy. One. You couldn't even sign one. We have the largest scouting network in the world out of every club, and you're telling me you couldn't find a deal for 25 to 30 million for some player out there that we could take sort of a bit of a gamble on. I don't buy it. Not to mention that the Glazers have hired Avram to set up a new system that was incompatible. That was Ineos. With our high-wage players such as Rashford, so they had a reason to get rid of them. Well, Ineos hired Avram, and they're the ones that are cutting all the costs of the high-wage players. And again, that's another thing. Like, and I always say this, and I keep saying it because nobody talks about it. And I know what'll happen is that one day it'll become a highly talked about issue. It's not talked about right now because it's not having sort of any real impact. But we used to bitch. If you go back 5 or 6 years ago or something like that, right? Maybe 4 years ago, I remember the conversations in the fan base. There was graphics of Manchester United having the largest wage bill in the league. And our fans lost our shit because we're like, all these players are overpaid and they're shit. And they weren't wrong about that, but it was a talking point in that people are freaking out. It was like, well, clearly, why are we rewarding players and giving them all this money and they haven't accomplished anything, which I agreed with. But now we're going in the total 180 opposite direction in that our wage bill is down to 6th or 7th. They're looking to cut it down even further. I mean, Cass going, they're trying to renegotiate Harry Maguire's deal if they're going to keep him. He's willing to take a pay cut, supposedly. They get Marcus Rashford and a couple other players. They're trying to cut it down even further, and there's a balance to that. You can't have a player wage bill of like 10th in the league and then expect to win the Premier League. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. I mean, maybe you do it in a one-off season, like a Leicester or something. Is that what we want? Do we want to win? Do we want to win the Premier League in a one-off season? With a bit of luck and a bit of hard work, and then have it fall apart. It's not sustainable. You spend like a mid-table club, you will be a mid-table club. And they are cutting down this wage bill. I mean, I think it's at 6. We're like 6th to 7th place in the wage table right now of the clubs. So it's been reduced significantly, which initially it did have to be reduced because I mean, you can't have the highest wage bill and be fucking shit and not win anything. But now I would argue it can't go lower. It can't. Like if they take it lower, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem. Because we're not getting the level that we need to get. I sure told that fucker I was arguing, well, if you don't want to buy as a player, you can afford to fix the roof at Old Trafford and maybe some new gym equipment, boss. Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, it's not even like we're getting something out of it, all right? Like, if they don't spend, like, listen, if they come to you, they tell you, listen, we properly fixed Old Trafford up, or we just invested a shit ton of money into the gym equipment, so there's no money for January. We'd be like, all right, I guess, like at least, you're giving us something. Something's going back into the club. They're just here like penny pinching, talking about, commercial deals and sleeve sponsorships, and they're worried about that, we've lost this money, and then on top of that, you don't sign anybody in January. Then they promise you the world in the summer. Then the summer comes and it runs into a bunch of complications, and you get maybe a quarter of the world, and they promised you the full world. And then everybody's sitting there and everybody's like, well, what the fuck? Now we're fucked. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you didn't see it coming. Like, they didn't run the football club the way they should have run the football club. So now let's move on a little bit, because I'm tired of the financial talk, to be quite honest. But there's a couple football things we need to get into, and we'll talk about the match at hand, okay? And Michael Carrick with his updates about the squad getting ready to face Spurs on Saturday. And by the way, I'll announce this sort of early, because sometimes I do it too late and I forget. So I'm not going to do a watch along for the Spurs match, because it's going to be too early for me. It's going to be really early for Reynoso, but it's going to be too early for me. So I'm not going to do it. But we will do the Red Devil recap after the match is over. And then we'll also probably be going live Sunday as well. Sunday we will be going live because it is Super Bowl Sunday. And but the Super Bowl starts at 6, so we can go live it starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is 11 p.m. UK time. So we can go live at about 8:15, maybe 7:15, because it's Sunday. Maybe we'll do it an hour earlier. We'll see. I'll let you know in a day or two, because we're gonna go live tomorrow as well. So yeah, but couple updates here over the past couple days. Just gonna pick and choose some things, all right? Because we haven't been live for 2 days, and this is the third day, so there's been some stuff that has come out. One of the updates that we got was senior figures are divided over whether to offer Harry Maguire a new contract, and are unlikely to exercise the option for an extra year in his current deal. Now I'm a bit confused by that, because I thought we already did that, but apparently he has an extra year option. They also said Sir Jim Ratcliffe is keen to cut the wage bill down, which is what I was just talking about, especially by getting rid of aging top earners. Casemiro, the club's highest paid player, and others on large salaries will leave. Maguire could be the exception. Maguire is willing to take a substantial pay cut of about $80,000 a week. No decision has been made yet over whether a new deal will be offered. Well, if this is true, and Maguire is willing to take a pay cut to £80,000 a week, I say give him a 1-year deal. I say it doesn't hurt nobody, and I think we should keep him for the experience. And if we're going back into the Champions League, or at the very least, if we're going back into Europe, then yeah, we should be keeping him. He's done well, and we could use him as a squad player. And I would like depth, and I think depth is good. And obviously, we should look forward to moving, Heaven and Euro next season. Increased performances and time, and they should get it with the amount of matches that we would have to play and the amount of rotation that we need to do. So, and we're losing Cass. I don't want to lose too many sort of experienced players. Again, Maguire has been through a lot here. He's handled himself well. I think that those are sort of important, sort of non-technical football factors that money can't really buy, or that we're not going to get. Okay, already people are sort of talking and having the conversation like, how are we actually going to replace Casemiro? Obviously they'll say like get Elliot Anderson or Warden or Baleba or whatever, but it's like, yeah, but they're not going to have the same. They're not going to have the same sort of, I don't know what you want to chalk it down to, aura, mentality, attitude, that level of experience. They might have the ability, Maybe it'll be better mobility wise, but it's not going to be, the level that Casemiro is giving us and has basically given us since he's come here is going to be hard to replace. And I don't think we're going to get it in that first season. I think it's going to be sort of a bit of a struggle at times. Lucky says Glazer's out fan. Yep. So yeah, I think Maguire, if he's willing to go to 80,000 a week, I see no harm in that. Some people are probably throwing their fist at the screen right now of me saying that, but I don't actually find that to be a problem. I think Maguire is a good player. He's become a good player. He's become an important player. He's become sort of one of the leaders. And I think he's even become more of a leader, after the armband has been taken from him. And I don't know how many people you can say about that in the span of football, because ultimately you have the armband. You are the ultimate captain. I mean, you are the ultimate leader. And he got that taken off of him, and he revived his career here. And he's been quite good. The last 3 seasons he's been really good. So I'd keep him around for another year. If you could give him a 1-year deal, 80,000 a week, why not? I don't see a problem with that. Keep him here while we're transitioning the midfield. While the team continues to develop a little bit more. And then, after 1 year, he goes his way. And we go our way, and then we look to see what we can do. Because there's also, De Ligt has an injury problem. All right. He's missed, 12 matches now, and he's not going to be back for this one. So he's going to be out for 13. And then we have to play West Ham in a quick turnaround on Wednesday. And I don't think De Ligt will be back for that one. So he's going to miss minimum 14 matches. He had a bit of an injury problem. It was lesser than this season. It's been worse this season than it was last season, but he had a bit of an injury problem last season as well. And if you really want to be sort of panicky, Martinez has had sort of terrible luck with that sort of stuff. So he's been back and he's done excellent, but I don't think you want to count your chickens before the eggs hatch. So I think just keep Maguire for another season. And push it forward with that. Now, another update that we also got is that Manchester United are looking to move on Manuel Ugarte on in the summer, with 3 Turkish clubs, including Galatasaray, interested. Bruno Fernandes' future is less clear, with talks expected between the skipper's representatives and United officials before he heads to the summer's World Cup. I think United don't. I don't think United want to sell Bruno. But I think from Bruno's standpoint, I think he would like to stay here. But I also think that there might be a determining factor in the fact of who's going to be the actual permanent manager, if it's Carrick or somebody else. I think that will have a determining factor. I think also what they show in terms of business in the summer. Will be an indication, because I think if we're sitting there and we're not doing significant business, and we're missing out on some targets or something like that, or we're moving really slow or stuff like that, it's sort of a lack of ambition for the project, and maybe Bruno thinks twice about that and goes, "I love this football club. I wanted to be here to bring it the ultimate prizes, but this is like the 3rd time I've gone through this, and this is the 3rd time that they are not showing that, they are making a serious move, and it's not going to lead to anything of super importance or significance in the club winning major trophies." So, Axe says Bruno is unreplaceable. Well, he may very well be, but that's also the life of football. You have to do something, some way, in some type of way. You're not going to replace him like for like, but you will have to transform the team to sort of replace him if he does go. And I think right now, I said if they give 100 million for Bruno, take it. I would still have to think twice about it for sure. But losing Cass in that midfield and sort of the midfield revamp, I would prefer actually if we could keep Bruno and even somebody like Maguire. I don't want us to go through too many changes. We are in a position where we are, we could finish 4th in the Premier League. 5th will get us Champions League as well, by the looks of the coefficient for England. Okay, we can get into Champions League. All right, and if we do, we've turned it around and we've looked like maybe we've stabilized a little bit. And I think if we do actually finish in that position, I think you would be able to fairly say we've stabilized ourselves. I don't want to destabilize ourselves by making a massive amount of changes. We need to make important, necessary changes. But I would like to keep a core group of the players that we have right now if they are ultimately going to sort of succeed for this season, for whatever's left of this season. Andrea Tonali is open, ready to leave Newcastle United this summer. Club will be informed, says Lucky. Well, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. There's also been some sort of a vote, or there's a voting going to happen that the Premier League teams are ready to push for a shorter January transfer window next year. There's a growing feeling in boardrooms around the country that slashing the traditional 4-week window in half would reduce the disruption for managers in an already congested time of the season. Well, how good for the Glazers is that? Senior figures at some of England's top sides believe that as the Premier League is the financial power broker in any transfer window, the threat is minimal. Any proposed change in the window would have to be voted on the league shareholders meeting and would need at least 14 votes in favor. Well, I'll tell you what, our fucking owners are definitely going to vote to shorten it because it's even less time that they need to PR spin to not buy anybody in January. And this was sort of the update that we got the other day, okay, that they were talking about. They said that it may have been a quiet transfer window for Manchester United, but Manchester United were still weighing up a big money move for a midfielder until late in January. The financial benefits of qualifying for the Champions League are such that United had to consider if it was worth bringing in a new signing to give them a vital push in the right direction after moving into a top 4 under Michael Carrick. Alternatively, missing out on the Champions League again would put a significant dent in the club's finances and may impact the quality of player they can sign in the summer, while finishing outside the top 6 altogether would be a huge setback to the plans. And to that, that's what gets me angry, and that's when I respond and I say, no shit, Sherlock. That's what I've been saying the whole fucking time, because it's literally 2 + 2 = 4. And thank you for the PR, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't know. What is that supposed to do for me? That United were still weighing up a big money move for a midfielder until late January. What were you weighing up? What were you weighing up? Because you didn't even... The thing is like, so we have the money, we don't have the money. The targets weren't available, they were available. You didn't even try to push for it. Then you expect me to believe that we were really sitting there up until the last hour of the transfer window, contemplating on if we should even try it. It's like, you had a whole month to try it. You had a whole month to even at least test the waters. You didn't do any of that. You did fucking none of it. And then you basically tell us what we all know, which is what we were saying. Like, yes, the financial benefits of the Champions League is definitely important. And we are concerned because if we don't get it, I know what these fucking owners are going to do. Which is almost the same thing that they tried to do last season. They say, oh, well, we didn't win the Europa League and we didn't get in the Champions League, so we can't spend as much money as we wanted to. And then they'll say the same. And it might be true, but it's also their fault. And there was also this little update about Sekou Kone, okay? Like, they said Lausanne Sport are absolutely over the moon at locking down Sekou Kone on loan for the remainder of the season. Coaches have been blown away by his technical level on the ball, and there is a real excitement in the building at his ball-winning ability. And I could hear people already saying, you know, why isn't he in the first team? And it's like, but I will say, well, no shit, they're over the moon. They're playing in a fucking farmers league. Not to be like ultimately disrespectful, but I mean, he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be there. I don't know why he went there. And if he's so fucking good, and I'm not knocking the kid, I'm just saying in general, if he's so good, why did we not send him to the championship like we sent Amos and like 4 or 5 other players? Why did we send this kid to Lausanne? What? How does that help his? How does that actually help his development? And how does that help the club further down the line? He should have went to the championship to play English football, to play with men in the English league, and I don't know. I would bet any money the championship is probably a better level than. What is that, Swiss or Switzerland, whatever it is, Swiss or Sweden, whatever it is, Switzerland League. That makes me laugh. And then, like, this is the thing that I always see, and it's like, it's all PR. It's all just like, you know, they put this out, people read it, and they're like, oh, wow, they said his technical level on the ball, and his ball-winning ability is fantastic. And then people say, like, yeah, he's a baller, and, you know, and it's like, well, we don't see him. He hasn't made it to the first team, and why did we not send him to the championship? Or is it that maybe he's not that good, and we couldn't find anybody in the championship that wanted to take him, and so we had to send him there? Or did we send him there solely because Ineos partially owned that football club, and they wanted that football club to do better, so they sent one of our players there, who's obviously going to be better than, like, fucking 90% of that league, so that their club in that specific league can maybe finish higher, and they can, you know, make some more money out of it. I don't know. That loan doesn't make sense to me in any sort of way. We also got this update. Okay, a lot of financial talk, but we did get this update. Manchester United have money to spend in the summer, but just how much they have at their disposal depends on a variety of factors, not least whether they achieve the return to the Champions League. The riches that come with playing in the Champions League would make the summer a lot easier. Miss out, and there is every chance they will have to borrow money to buy significantly and dip back into the revolving credit facility. Oh, great, more debt. Essentially, a bank overdraft, which funded much of last summer's $215 million in spending. At last count, United had borrowed $295 million of a possible £350 million under the arrangement, leaving capacity to borrow a further $55 million. I mean, just get us new foot. Just sell the fucking club. Just sell the club. Take your money, go, and let somebody pay off the debt. Because, I mean, what are we doing? They do go on to say that a season of just 20 fixtures at Old Trafford will hurt the balance sheet. So a guarantee of what should really be at least 5 extra home games in Europe will be welcome. That should allow United to be a little bit more aggressive in the summer window, but their approach could also be dictated by departures and the kind of money made from exits. Casemiro's departure will free up a significant room on the wage bill, and if Harry Maguire also leaves, that will be around $550,000 a week in savings. Let's see how much of that gets reinvested into the club, into the football club, though. United's aim will be to secure deals for all 3 first-teamers currently out on loan. Rasmus Højlund, Andre Onana and Marcus Rashford as soon as possible. In the best case scenario, there's potentially £100 million in sales to be had there, although that might be difficult to pull off. Well, Rasmus has a fixed price, and as far as we know, that one is supposed to go ahead without any troubles. Barcelona are schemers and scammers, and they're bitching about Rashford's 30 million that they agreed to. Meanwhile, he has like fucking 10 goals and 11 assists for them, and they want to keep him. So, I mean, play the world's smallest violin to somebody else because I don't give a shit. Pay the money or fuck off, and we'll sell him somewhere else. And then Andre Onana, I mean, we obviously have to move him on. I don't know what we could get for him, but, you know, I don't know, 15 million maybe if we're lucky. Fuck. Maybe. I'm pretty sure, but what is the deal that we have for Rasmus Højlund? Rasmus Højlund. Loan deal. Option to buy. 38 million pounds. Rasmus Højlund, 6 million. It's in euros. 6 million euros loan fee, and a 44 million euro, 38 million pound obligation to buy that becomes mandatory if Napoli qualifies for the Champions League. Well, it will become mandatory. That one is already lined up. So, I mean, Napoli are in third place. Italy has 4 guaranteed spots for the Champions League. They are in third on 46. They are 1 point above Juventus, who are in fourth. 3 points above Roma, who are in fifth. And Napoli are 4 points behind AC Milan. And 9 points behind Inter, who are in first. So that one seems like it should go off without a hitch, as I was saying. There shouldn't really be a problem with that. So that one we could sort of at least sort of guarantee to a certain level that we are going to get that money. Then the bigger headaches is obviously Marcus Rashford and then Andre Onana. And then I guess we might look to sell Manuel Ugarte. And I think that's it. I don't think they're going to look to really get rid of anybody else or sell anybody else. You know, again, unless some ridiculous offer from Saudi that they weren't really planning on happening comes in, and then maybe they have to think about it. And maybe it happens. So okay, so one thing that I forgot to mention though about the financials earlier. All right, so obviously we have a deal with Adidas. All right, and they said a factor set to depress United sponsorship revenues this season is that for the first time since the kit sponsorship with Adidas began, they will not receive the full annual value of the deal. The original Adidas deal, unveiled in 2015, included a clause which cut their annual payment by 30% if United failed to qualify for the Champions League in 2 consecutive years. United narrowly avoided triggering it in 2017 and 2020, but it was renegotiated upon renewal of the sponsor of the partnership, with the consecutive seasons condition removed and the penalty reduced to £10 million. The new clause did not apply last season, depriving United from only competing in the Europa League, but came into effect this year, United's first campaign without European football in more than a decade. A further £10 million penalty will apply next season if United once again fail to qualify for the Champions League. So if we get Europa League, so we've been hit with the 10 million pound penalty from Adidas. Okay, if we don't get into the Champions League, we will be hit with another 10 million pound penalty. All right, so we'll lose 10 million pounds there, 20 million in total in sort of 2 seasons or 2 years. We've lost 24 million from the Tezos deal. And we're losing money because we don't have a sleeve sponsorship, or the sleeve sponsorship is ending. So once that runs out, we're going to need another one. We'll lose more money there. So I think we'll finish 6th or likely 5th, which is okay. Well, maybe we do, but we're in 4th and we have a chance to finish there. So I'd rather, I'm having them go for it. If we're in it right now, we could finish in it. So we're in 4th. I'm looking at 3rd. Just because this league is crazy and results are going every which way. And we're only a few points off of that. So we need to go out there, do our job, win these matches, start creating some gaps, securing our position a little bit better. I'm just reading some stuff here. Why did it do that? All right, so let's get to Tottenham. Let's talk about Tottenham. I need the quotes from Michael Carrick because he did give us the updates. And where did they go? Okay, so Michael Carrick did his press conference. He said on Mason Mount, Mason Mount will be back sooner. He's not too far away. He said, we're hopeful it won't be too long. And then he said, Matthijs de Ligt is working his way back, taking steps, improving, and staying really positive. So I would assume maybe Mason Mount is back for the West Ham game. That update sort of doesn't sound like he'll be there for Tottenham. And de Ligt, it's not the update I'm looking for. I mean, it's sort of more of the same. He's working his way back. He's taking steps. He's improving. He's staying positive. But obviously, the difference between that is, he said Mason will be back sooner. He's not too far away. De Ligt, he did not say anything sort of like that. So definitely won't be making Tottenham. Definitely won't be making West Ham. And I would go as far as to say probably won't be making the game after that, which I don't even know who it is. We're playing Tuesday. I thought we were playing Wednesday versus West Ham. So Tuesday, I changed that, but I was just looking and I just realized. Tuesday we could probably do a watch along. All right. So no watch along for the no watch along for Spurs, but we'll do watch along for West Ham, and we are away from home. And then who would we play after that? Oh, we don't play. Then we play Everton like a week, almost 2 weeks later on a Monday. So yeah, so those are the only two. Obviously, Dorgu, we're not going to get an update right now. I talked a little bit about Tottenham because obviously, if you remember, we did buy him from Tottenham when he was a player. He spoke on the importance of the Munich tribute, 68 years on. He says, "It means a great deal. From the moment you arrive here, you are made aware of it. You can't help but understand the history. There's a responsibility when you work here to know what came before us and the behaviors and values we have to carry forward. Munich is probably the biggest part of the club's history, not just the tragedy itself, but how the team and the club responded and went on to achieve success. When I arrived, Sir Alex would often mention it. It was important to him, and it became important to all of us. It becomes a way of life at the club, and it's vital we continued that tradition. I was here for the 50th anniversary, the 60th, and we'll see about the 70th. We're not sure yet." I think he was, I don't know if he was saying maybe as a manager, or just in general. He said, "When you're around it, especially at those moments, you really feel the emotion. And inside the stadium on Saturday, I'm sure we'll feel it again." And yeah, I mean, it is, it's one of those things that I was sort of thinking about it today, and I was just saying, obviously it was just a great tragedy, but at the same time, it did sort of make our football club more of what our football, it didn't make it's not like it made the club the whole thing, but what I'm saying is, like, it did become a big part of the football club. It went on, sort of the revival from that time, and sort of the comeback and what we went on to go do sort of then got ingrained in itself in what this football club is, or is supposed to be, or what we think about this football club. So it's just like, I was thinking, like, I don't know, like, this might be a fucked up scenario to talk about, but I was like, I think if you had a time travel machine and you asked people, would you go back and maybe make it not from happening? And part of me was like, well, obviously, yeah, so that, like, those poor people don't die, because you don't want people to die. But then at the same time, also you go, but, what if you did that and it changed the fucking course of our history forever? And, what if we didn't go on to do all the brilliant things we've done after that? So, it's a bit of a tough hypothetical, obviously, but what I'm saying is just like, that's kind of what our football club has always sort of been about. I mean, even if you go before the Munich disaster and then even after the Munich disaster, our football club has always found ourselves in periods of times in really tough, sort of rough periods. And when everything looks sort of bleak or looks sort of impossible or looks like, we're never really going to make it out of this, we always have ended up doing so. And he talked a little bit about as well, like, from the moment you arrive here, you're made aware of it. And like, I sort of related to that because, as a kid, like, I didn't know about it until, like, I was a decently of age to understand, like, better concepts. I think my father taught me about it when I was like, 6, 7, 8, but how much are you going to understand as a 6, 7, 8-year-old of like what actually happened and what actually transpired out of that and stuff like that. But I do remember like being taught about that, and when I was taught about it, it made me love the club even more, because it was just the story of like, so you're telling me we had an excellent team and this excellent group of players and all this, and we lost all of them in a tragedy. And you're telling me that we were able to, it took a lot of hard work and time, but you're telling me we were able to eventually bounce back from that and then go and become great again, in terms of on-pitch success, and rise up sort of from the ashes and win and dominate, like, England, but then also Europe and stuff like that. And that I was like, that's just, I was mesmerized by it, because I was like, that's such a fantastic story. I mean, that's some shit that you probably hear from like, a film or something, made in Hollywood. or something like that. It's not really a normal circumstance. And um, you know, your initial thought would be you have a squad of players, you lose them in an airplane disaster that crashes and people die, and you go, they're fucked. You know what I mean? They're fucked. Um, and I guess we were for a little bit, but we did eventually bounce back. I mean, there was that Brazilian team. Who was that Brazilian team? Does anybody know? Does anybody remember? I think it was back in 2014 or something like that. It was like about 10 years ago or something like that, where they had something similar, like their plane crashed and a bunch of their team, or I don't know if all the team died, but they all died. They all passed away, and it was like a major tragedy. And it was just like, and obviously it hit close to home for us United fans, but even when that happened, I was just like, that's so fucked. Like, not even just for the fact that people, innocent people lost their lives just because something bad happened like that, but the fact that it's like, you just lost your whole fucking team. You know what I mean? You just lost your whole team. You just lost like everything. Like, how are you supposed to? How do you even like sort of build back from that? How do you pull players together and go back into a competition and compete? And I think then they actually then pulled it around. I think it was Grimo, or Sao Paulo, one of those teams. I'm from Birmingham. We need to give big clubs like Manchester United more sporting people with basic of what means to win here. Same Arsenal, Liverpool. Oh yeah. Um, but yeah, I think so. The anniversary, the actual like anniversary, is tomorrow. I think February 6th. Yes, February 6th. So it is tomorrow. So on tomorrow's show, we'll be obviously doing a little bit of a remembrance. We'll obviously talk about it more in depth tomorrow. Um, and we'll give a little bit of a sort of a eulogy for our club, for those players, for those people. Yes, Renoso, thank you. I couldn't remember it, but when you wrote it, popped in back into my head. Chapecoense. Yeah, that was some sad shit as well, man. Like, you don't want to hear those types of things, especially it's like, listen, war is one thing and some shit happens, whatever, like you can kind of get it, but people getting on a plane to go travel to play a game, and then your life is gone, is like, it's just like one of the worst fucking things that can happen, because it's just like, they weren't doing anything that was like, you would assume, it wasn't like they did something dangerous or something stupid, or like they put themselves in a position where it was like, oh yeah, I can see how that kind of happens. You know what I mean? It's like, now, like, everybody, it's normal. You get on a plane, you expect to fucking land and get to where you're going and continue to live your life. And it was 2016, 2017, you think? I could look it up. And then they came back, didn't they, though? I think they had some sort of a revival as well, in terms of like the team actually went on to go, um, the team that they sort of rebuilt. Let's see Wikipedia. What is Wikipedia? 2016 plane crash. Carrying 77 people, including staff and players from the club, crashed. It approached Medellin. 71 people died, including 21 journalists, and almost the entire first team and managerial staff, and 6 survived. I mean, that's like, was very similar to us. The surviving players, the left back, I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not gonna try. Alan Ruschel, backup goalkeeper Jackson Folman, goalkeeper Danilo initially survived, but later passed away, arriving to the hospital. That's even worse. That's sad. Their other goalkeeper, who did not board the flight soon after, announced his immediate retirement from football. I don't blame the guy. It emerged that the crash had resulted from fuel starvation. I was trying to see like what they ended up doing with that. Out of that, I could have swore they had like some sort of a revival. Out of that, that was what year was it? 2016. 2016 it was. 2016. They finished 11th. In 2017, they went to 8th. And they got relegated 2 years after. 3 years later, they never really recovered from that. That's might have been unfortunate. I mean, listen, even for it to happen in 2016 and you finish in 8th in 2017 is still a good achievement. But our midfield basically sucks when it comes to defending a lead. If we beat Liverpool at Old Trafford and get a point at the Bridge, I think we'll get 4th or 5th. But we've got some tricky away fixtures. Yeah. To me, I don't know if I weigh it down to that. Just that. I mean, it may come down to that, but I think it's far too early. Again, like Liverpool and Chelsea won't matter. And I think I'll further your point, Lawrence, in terms of just saying Liverpool and Chelsea won't matter in that way if we don't get 3 points against Spurs, or we don't beat West Ham, or we don't get points against Everton. You know, those matches are going to be far more important. And in between that time, until we go and play like Liverpool or Chelsea, I mean, they could drop points. We can create a bigger gap. So I think it's too early to make that determining factor for me, at least. Maybe the gap will be maybe there won't be a gap. Maybe it'll still be tight. And then definitely, obviously, then we got to go because those become ultimately 6-pointers. But yeah, I think right now, obviously, we got to beat Spurs, which we're going to talk about right now. Like I'll describe the match a little bit. I want to see if we finish just Carrick's quotes, some of his quotes. Well, Carrick said, he said coming in right at the start with the games coming so quickly, it was very much step by step. I wasn't looking too far ahead. People were saying the first 2 matches were standout fixtures, and we expected a tough start, and in some ways that helped get the whole group focused and sharp. Over time, we had a vague idea of how we wanted things to look, and since we've been here, that's become much clearer. The direction we want to go in and how we want to play. The 3 wins have been fantastic in different ways, and there's a lot of growth in this team and squad. He then also talked about the squad outlook for next season. The players have been spot on and fully focused. Everyone understands the bigger picture and what could happen. But as a player, you concentrate on what's ahead and on achieving what you can in the rest of the season. I have no concerns. The lads have been better than you can imagine. We're focused on improving, taking small steps, and getting ourselves and this club to where we want to be. It's a big finish to the season. And then he also spoke on Tottenham, and this will lead us into sort of the preview, but he was asked on Tottenham. He said they've got good attackers who want to stretch the back line. It's something we've got to be aware of, but we are looking forward to it. The boys have worked well this week. And he also said it will be a slightly different game to what we've played in recent weeks. but we're looking forward to it. We are in a good place. The boys have worked well again this week. Feet on the ground. Let's not get carried away. It's about what's next, a big challenge ahead. And that's sort of where I agree mostly with Carrick in that, and sort of the messaging that I want to hear from the manager. Can't get carried away. Feet's got to be feet's got to be on the ground. Head can't be in the clouds. We are in 4th. Tottenham are in, whatever they're in, 13 or some shit like that. Let's see. They're in 14th. They're on 29. We're in 41. We're home. We expect to win. We should listen. If we're gonna get Champions League, we should go and win these types of matches. So we should sort of be expecting a win. But the players can't be complacent. They can't think that obviously. Listen, you saw Spurs against City, okay? And yeah, Spurs were home, but they were down 2-0, and they came back and they tied that match 2-2. So those types of matches are the bigger matches. They're not gonna roll over. They're not gonna get rolled over, and they're not gonna lay down and die for us, okay? You should never expect that. And it is a test, and we need to go out and we need to compete at the highest level and achieve the win for that. So, I think they're doing well in the Copa Libertadores. I actually think that's why they were traveling, which draws parallels to with the Munich disaster. Yeah, they were. They were. But it's like so uncommon. As far as I know, right? It was ours, and especially in football, as far as I know. It was ours, Munich air disaster, and then I don't know of one from an aeroplane perspective, I guess, that happened other than that one. So, that's how uncommon of a thing it is. I could be wrong. There could have been another one in between the time ours happened and theirs happened. But as far as I know, it was basically ours all that time ago and then theirs. And which would be like the modern time one. I'm not talking about the Epstein files, bro. This isn't a place for Epstein. I don't really give a shit. Talking about Manchester United. You want to go talk about the Epstein files? Go find a podcast on it. You wonder if the Glazers visited the island? I doubt that. I doubt it. I mean, if you want, just because it might be United, sort of United. If you want, I'll literally go to the justice.gov website, okay? Which I can search the full Epstein library files, and I'll literally just type in Glazer, okay? And hit search. And you know what's funny? I typed in Glazer, and 37 results have popped up. But it might not be Glazer family. I don't know. It's hard to determine. Another Glazer kid bought Bob Kraft's vacant lot at 947 North Ocean for $19.7 million. He had it listed at $25 million. He bought it in 2025 for $19.2. Okay. Anybody know who Patty Glazer is? But these are not from Jeffrey Epstein though. These are from other people. Name blanked out. To somebody else or from somebody else. Yeah, I know they have unreleased, but it's another 3 million. But anyway, you can do that on your own time. Just go to the justice.gov/Epstein thing, type in Glazer, do whatever you want. But anyway, I'm going to go back to talking about football. Doesn't Torino have one? I think Torino. I don't know, do they? Torino in 1949. And there you go. See, I didn't know about that. Still very uncommon, though. I think that was all of Michael Carrick's quotes, so I will sort of break down the match. McGuire talking about Johnny Evans. All right, let me talk about the match a little bit. Perja air disaster carrying Torino football team. I gotta look into that one. I never heard of that one. I didn't know. I did not know. All right, so Man United versus Tottenham, okay? Because tomorrow we'll have other things to talk about, and then obviously the match. So, Manchester United versus Tottenham. That can't be right. Oh, all right. So obviously, as we all know, we have 3 wins in a row. Okay. Tottenham have no losses in 4. For Manchester United, 4 out of the 5 last matches we've played, there has been at least 3 goals in the game. For 5 out of 7 of Tottenham's last matches that they have played, there has been at least 3 goals in it. 6 out of our 7 last matches, both teams have scored in the games. And 6 out of 8 last matches that Spurs have played, both teams have scored. All right. Directly head to head against each other, Spurs have no losses in 8 against us, which is fucking remarkable because it used to be the other way around. But no losses in 8. We also have no clean sheet in 8, which directly correlates there. They have been the first to score in 4 out of the 5 last times that we've played each other. And they have also won the first half 4 out of the 5 times we've played each other. So, I mean, those head-to-head streaks, they're a little bit important. They're not the most important because obviously the teams changes, managers change and stuff like that. So things change. So obviously the sort of the current non-head-to-head, just individual streaks matter probably a little bit more. Will shape the game. But yeah, I mean, I expect us to line up pretty much the same. Lemons, Delo, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Meno, Diallo, Bruno, Cunha, and Buemo. I don't think we'll see any changes. I think Carrick's going to keep rolling with sort of the winning team sort of thing. Also, we don't really need to rotate in terms of we play 1 match a week. We should be fresh. They should be ready to go. We're playing our lowest tallies of games this season. So I think we'll see the same team. There's always the possibility that, maybe Sesko starts, but I think Sesko will come off the bench again. And I think we'll be rolling the way that we started. With Mbeumo up top, Cunha, and then sort of an alternating sort of front 3. Because that's kind of what happened last match. It was sort of alternating. I mean, there was times where Cunha was up top as striker, and Mbeumo was going out to the wing, and then even Diallo went there for a little bit short while. So, do you think their manager is better than ours? No, I didn't even think that Thomas Frank was better than Ruben Amorim. He's most definitely not better than ours. Absolutely not. This is his first test in terms of, again, and this is why I speak like there's levels to this sorts of shit. Like, you could do well at Brentford, all right? Well, Brentford is Brentford. And I know we all take the piss out of Tottenham, but Tottenham are not supposed to be a team that are in 14th, okay? And Tottenham, you would generally expect them to be finishing above Brentford, okay? And Tottenham is a certain level when you compare him to Brentford. And he's gone to Spurs, and he's taking the piss. I mean, it's one thing to not be in, like, the top 6. It's also another thing to be in 14th place in the Premier League, especially in this sort of season. So, I just, maybe it's just Spurs, but, maybe not every guy is meant for every club. And maybe it was a good thing for him at Brentford, but it's definitely not working out for him at Tottenham. And I think he's a bit fortunate. I think one of the things that's helping him stay in a job is that they've done decently well in the Champions League, which then also, I think Lucky said it a couple times that he thinks that we would like get destroyed in the Champions League. But I mean, if anything's to go based off of this season, Tottenham are in 14th in the Premier League, and they finished in the top 8 in the Champions League, if I'm not wrong. The English teams are dominating Europe. Dominating Europe. We have the most teams. They all finished all high in all respective competitions, whether it's the Champions League, the Europa League. I think the Conference League, I think Crystal Palace have to play a playoff game. So they didn't finish that high, but I think that's the only sort of thing that's kind of keeping him there, because, I mean, to be 14th. Now, to be fair to them, I mean, that's where they were under Ange anyway, so maybe it's just the level of the squad. Maybe they have become just sort of that bad. Although you would probably argue, I mean, some of the players that they have, you would say they can't be 14th. They got to be better than that. I'm somewhat weary of this fixture. They'll be smelling some confidence after the City game, our recent results, and I am expecting some shaky knees the closer we get to 5 wins in a row. They all know that guy needing his haircut. They gotta get him a haircut, bro. They gotta do it. It's the least that they could do. No, listen, I think, again, I don't think it's not going to be an easy game. I wouldn't, listen, if United were to rock them 3-0, obviously I'll be happy and I'll take it. I don't expect it, though. I don't expect them to do that. I don't expect them to come in, and I expect them to put up a fight. I expect it to be sort of a bit of a, an open game as well. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it'll be sort of a bit of an end-to-end type of game. Although, you know what? They have been at times quite defensive, Spurs. So they might play a bit similar to maybe like a Fulham or maybe a West Ham or Everton, where they're not gonna play like I don't think they'll pull up to Old Trafford like Bournemouth pulled up to Old Trafford and tried to play football. I think Spurs might be a bit more defensively. They do that in a lot of their matches. They have done so. They do tend to like sort of sit back in a lot of periods. They do tend to be a bit boring at times this season. So, but but at the same time, I feel like, listen, you come in to play United, and like Reynoso said, they'll have a bit of confidence from the City match, and maybe they'll sort of come out swinging, and so the game will actually be open and it'll be enjoyable to watch. Because if they come to play some sort of anti-football, it's going to be boring. It's going to be boring shit. Never going to get his haircut. No, I think he'll get it. I think right now is his best chance to get it, because I think the fact that you brung in Carrick and he's beaten City and he's beaten Arsenal, and we beaten Arsenal away, okay? And we beat them at the Emirates, and we beat City, and we also just beat Fulham. This is his best chance. I think he can get it. I think we can definitely get 5. With the way we are right now, If they're keeping the same level, okay, and they're not like, listen, if they show up to the Tottenham match and they look like a fraction of the team that we've just seen over the sort of the last 2 or 3 games, well then obviously we ain't gonna fucking win. But if they keep the same level that they've had since Carrick has come in, I expect us to win. I expect us to win. I expect us to win against them. And then West Ham will be a tough one because we'll be away. They're going to probably try to close and shut up shop and make the space difficult. But our players are sort of enjoying life right now. People are positive. People are being confident. And they just need to hold on to that feeling because that positivity is carrying us through a lot of the momentum of the match. We're not perfect by any means. I don't think we've been perfect by any means in any of sort of the matches, but we definitely have. There's definitely a different feeling in the squad, in the players, and that's giving us momentum throughout the matches. So, Lucky says 2-0 Manchester United versus Tottenham. I expect us to keep level personality pitch. Well, I don't know if we'll keep a clean sheet. But it would be nice if we do. We need Endrick. Endrick is never coming. Endrick's on loan in League One, and he's playing well. And he's going directly back to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are not selling him, so he's never coming. Or at least never coming right now. And Endrick doesn't actually, Endrick's not going to help us right now anyway. What we could do is use a nice midfielder. Our attack is fine. Our attack is doing fine. Our attack is scoring goals. It's our midfield and our defense. Which makes sense because we spent all the money on the attack anyway. So the two sort of positions that we haven't really touched is the midfield and the defense. We just did a whole rebuild of the attack. The attack is doing the attack is doing way better than I think the attack is doing way better than it's ever done in like 3 seasons plus. And that's because we spent the money on it. So, and that was even with Ruben here. Spurs. I didn't really finish what I was saying, but Spurs. I don't know. They've played sort of a 3-4-2-1 at times throughout the season. So I think they could probably do that again. Playing a 3-back, 3 center backs. Archie Gray and Udogie playing at wing back. They did bring in Conor Gallagher, who was once upon a time linked with Manchester United. They bought him. I expect him to be in the midfield, in the middle of the park with Basuma. So, and then they obviously have Xavi Simons, Kolo Muani, and then Solanke. We're missing our 3 players. Obviously, Patrick Dorgu, Mason Mount, and De Ligt. And they have a decently long injury list as well. You know, they are missing quite a lot of players as well. I mean, they don't have James Maddison. Kudus, I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. He's doubtful for the match. Bentancur is out. Richarlison is out. Kulusevski is out. Ben Davies is out. Bergval is out. Pedro Porro is out. Spence is out. Van de Ven is doubtful as well. Christian Romero is out. And Solanke might actually be out as well. I'm seeing here. I don't know 100%. Dominic Solanke is going to be in the Tottenham Hotspur lineup. It will be it says if. No, he was back though. He played. Yeah. Did he not play? He played in this match. He played versus City, yeah, so he'll be in there. He'll be back. We need Endrick, Stiller, Anderson, Yamal, and Scalvini. Okay, but we're never getting Endrick and we're never getting Yamal, so your plan has already failed. We could get Stiller, could get Anderson, could get Scalvini. I don't see why not, because Italian league, you could always get the players out of there. But Yamal, never happening. Never happen in a million years. Then Endrick will never happen either. Unless he flops. And then Real will sell him, but would you want a Real Madrid flop? I need to go to sleep. Thank you very much for the stream. Good night, everyone. All right, good night, Axel. See you later. So Yep Stam was speaking, and he has urged Manchester United to forget about appointing Michael Carrick as permanent manager and give the job to De Zerbi instead. He said, he's going forward, he attacks, scores a lot of goals, sometimes concedes, but that as a manager. But I think he's also a good man manager. I think he's also good with the players and giving them confidence, giving them the attention they need. And not only the starting XI, but also other players within the squad. And that's what you need in a big club like that. So I would be very happy if they don't go for Carrick and they go for him. And on this, I will say, again, one of our ex-players, legends, don't really agree with it. I mean, I don't even agree with half of the statement. I don't agree with 3/4 of the statement you made. You talk about not going with Carrick and go for De Zerbi. You say he's going forward, he attacks. Okay, well, we're doing that under Carrick. He scores a lot of goals. Well, we've done that under Carrick so far. You also said you think he's a good man manager. Well, it seems like Carrick seems to be a good man manager. You say De Zerbi's good with the players and giving them confidence. Well, I think you could say Carrick has done that so far. Giving them attention they need. Again, I think you could say Carrick has done that so far. And he said not only the starting XI, but also other players within the squad. I think Carrick has done that so far. And to make his point, he said, and that's what you need at a big club like that. Okay, but is that not what we're getting right now from Carrick? So why, yeah, so like, interesting. Well, I'll look into the Tonali thing in a second. Besiktas are interested in Leeds goalkeeper Ion Mezier and Manchester United's Altay Bayender. That's coming from TalkSport an hour ago. Well, we are going to have to sell Bayender as well. So, many people are saying get Vitek back in, out from the loan after it ends. Bring him in as second goalkeeper. I always find it a bit weird though. Like, I don't know. The whole goalkeeping thing makes me weird because it's like I'm set on Lemons and I don't see there's any problem in it. So it's just like when I look at Vitek, like he's from the academy and many people want him to. People say he's very good and they want him to be like sort of become this star, but it's like, yeah, but we have Lemons, like, so until Lemons like, or if Lemons becomes bad or starts playing like bad, then I don't see how Vitek gets like I don't see why Vitek gets a chance. I don't really believe in that. Lemons has come in. He's done well. He's older than Vitek, and he's our first choice goalkeeper, and he's going to continue. Now, if Lemons is in matches and he's making fuck ups like from almost game to game, well then yeah, we're gonna have to switch him out or something like that. But other than that, Lemons has been good, and I think I don't think it makes sense to bring Vitek to put him on the bench to play him in like a cup match here and there. I think it makes sense to go let him play first team football. But we do need somebody else then as well. This guy and his fake news. There's a guy out there named Indie Kyla News. This guy just puts out fake news, bro. And he put something like breaking at 10:30 p.m. tonight. You won't believe this, Manchester United fans. Brace yourselves. This is huge. The kind of news that's going to send Red Devil supporters worldwide in total meltdown. Stay locked right here. You do not want to miss this, and it's bullshit. So 10:30. They put this an hour ago. 10:30 would be in 30 minutes. Well, 20 minutes. I just don't see it. By the way, just to make this clear, even though I can't believe I have to make this clear, but just to make this clear, because there was a story saying that maybe Ronaldo comes back to Manchester United because he's having some issues over there in the Saudi league. There's an update. There is zero chance of Ronaldo returning to Manchester United. There was always zero chance of him returning to Manchester United. He's not fucking coming back. All right. I don't know who ran the original story and said that, but it was obviously bullshit. It was obviously cap. It's never happening. So, highly rated coaches. This is from Simon Stone 7 minutes ago. Highly rated coaches likely to be on United's radar for the permanent head coach role: Thomas Tuchel, Carlo Ancelotti, Mauricio Pochettino, and Julius Nagelsmann. Now, I'll be okay with 3 out of the 4. I'm going to be quite honest. I don't want Poch. I think Poch is sort of washed. And there was a time to get Poch, and it was after he left Spurs. And after he left Spurs, the way it's kind of gone about his managing careers, I don't want Poch. I think Poch is washed. The fact that Poch has ended up at the United States team to be a manager, I think is no. But I mean, I like Nagelsmann. I think he's a good young coach. Carlo's obviously Carlo, and Thomas Tuchel is a winner. So, Eric, let's focus getting Andre Tonali, Carlos Baleba. Well, I don't know about this Andrea Tonali. Let me look it up. Well, bad news for you because David Ornstein on a podcast is saying that the situation was pretty clear. After doing our checks, it was confirmed and made abundantly clear that Sandro Tonali's agent had offered him to Arsenal and to Andrea Berta. Tonali is a player of interest to Arteta and Arsenal, so they looked into it. So, yeah, we're not in for that, and I don't think we're going to get him because it seems like he's going to go to Arsenal. So, And this was for the deadline day as well, so I guess we got to see what the summer brings about. Ultimately, we got to see what the summer brings about. But no interest from our side as that far. And his agent also offered his player or his client to Arsenal, did not offer him to us. So Manchester United have offered Kai Rooney a 1-year scholarship, which would then convert into a 3-year professional contract worth around £50,000 per year, plus an annual signing on fee. At this stage, it is understood the Rooney family have not yet agreed to the deal. Well, I'm sure whatever that is, that'll get sorted out. He looks like a bit like his father. Quite a good young talent at his age group down there. He's scoring a lot of goals. He's doing a lot of things. So maybe one day we have a Rooney playing again, just like how we sort of have a Fletcher, or we have Fletchers, kind of right now. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. But it does look quite good. So I expect that to get done and dealt with. But yeah, listen, other than that, we're going to get out of here. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the show. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for smashing the like button. Greatly appreciated. We'll be back live tomorrow. Same time, 8:15 p.m. UK. It's Friday, so we'll sort of freestyle it a bit, and we'll just have fun with the show. And we'll obviously discuss, any sort of news, any updates that come out, but also we'll just have like a more free show tomorrow. Chill, relax, sort of less news driven, less, definitely less financial, talk, more free football sort of talk. So we'll be back tomorrow live, 8:15 p.m. UK time. And then, the match is on Saturday, obviously. So Saturday, in the AM, so we will be live after the match to cover the match and discuss the match and hopefully celebrate together yet once again for getting 3 points. And then we'll probably be going live Sunday for a little bit of time. I gotta confirm the time on Sunday, but Sunday we'll probably go live Monday. Tuesday we'll be live again, and we'll probably be doing a watch along plus a Red Devil recap. And then Wednesday, no live. So Wednesday, let me see my schedule here. So as far as I can tell you right now, Wednesday no live, okay? Wednesday no live, Thursday no live. Friday, I don't think we'll be able to do a live either. And then Saturday, we might be able to do a live, okay? The following Saturday, which would be the 21st. And then we could definitely do it on Sundays. Sundays are coming back into full effect, because there's no more football, there's no more NFL, there's obviously the Super Bowl this Sunday, and then after the Super Bowl, that's it, and Sundays will be clear, so we'll be back on Sundays for sure. Sundays are always good streams as well, good days to stream, good days to talk and stuff like that. So surely some decent midfielders want desire to play for us come summer window. Well, I hope so. We'll see what happens. I think, we got to finish in that Champions League spot to make us the ultimate, to get the ultimate desire. You know what I mean? That's going to help us monumentally. So, we'll see what happens. But listen, I got to go take care of some things. So everybody be good. Stay safe. Thank you for supporting the channel. Greatly appreciated. Good talking to you all. Be good. We'll see each other tomorrow. Okay? Make sure you come by, stop by, say hi. Even if you can't stay for long, just pop in. Renosa says, have a good day. Have a good day, brother. You going for a hike? I'm going for a run. So I'm going for a run. I've been doing this thing. I started off with the most that I could run was 2 miles at a time. Because I wasn't really working out too much. So running 2 miles straight. I upped it to 3 last week, and now we're on 4. So once a week, I'm trying to up it a mile a week. Which is going to be extremely tough because by the time next week I got to do 5, and the week after I got to do 6. When I get to like 15, I'm going to be trying to do 15 miles. That's going to be insane. So, but that's on purpose. It's supposed to be hard. So, just got back. Yeah, it's good. So I don't know. I just created like a little challenge. It's fucking, it's nuts. It's like some David Goggins type stuff or something. Guys running like 40 miles in like 4 hours. Yeah, that's good, dude. Even 1 mile a day and a 4 mile on like 5th day is good. Just experiment. Yeah, I'm trying to push myself, So, I'm just going with this, and then, as long as we get it in, you get it in every day, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? Get in every day, you'll be all right. Ultimately, I don't have to do 6 miles. I was saying like in a week. I mean, like I try to do 6 miles. Like I'm running like 3 to 4 times a week, so I try to do 6 miles each time I run. But I'm on mile 4 right now, so I got to try and do 4 miles. I'll be honest. I can't really get there. I do got to stop and sort of take like a 5-minute breath of walk. But definitely, you could already tell the improvement just by doing it for like 2 weeks. You could already tell because the first me trying to do 2 miles felt like I was trying to run up Everest. Like it felt like I was trying to run a mountain. And now that I'm trying to do 4, 2 is like, it's like breathing air. It's like way easy. So now doing like basically 3.5 is like I'm trying to push it. So, but yeah, everybody be good. Stay healthy. Take care of yourselves. All right, it's important. Make sure you get in some fitness. All right, we need the community healthy. Okay, I can't have the community getting sick and ultimately not being available because you guys are not taking care of yourselves. You got to take care of yourselves. All right, so we could all be around together. To infinity and beyond, for the next 40 plus years. I'll be streaming on, I don't even know how we'll be streaming, but we'll be streaming in some sort of way. I'll be like 80. I'll be streaming. All right. For when Rumble the Glazer puppet channel. Yeah. All right. Be good. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your nights. Stay safe. Eat some good food, but healthy food, but eat some good food. Relax. Oh, by the way, I don't know. Like, I don't know if any of you have been watching Fallout, but I've been watching Fallout, and I thoroughly enjoy the show. I don't know if you guys played the video games or not, but I just watched the season finale yesterday. And it was really good. And I'm like, I'm one of those people, like, when I'm into something, I'm not into too many things, but when I'm into something that I really like that thing ended, and I was like, oh, was that the season finale? Because I thought maybe they were going to do 10 episodes. They did 8. And I went and Googled, and they were like, yeah, it was the season finale. And then my next Google search was, okay, when does season 3 come out? And they're like, they're going to start filming in May. And I was like, oh my God, I got to wait so long. I wait so long. I hate that. I hate it. So, but it's good. Yeah. If you need a TV show, listen, you don't even have to be a fan of the video game series. If you're not, if you played it or not, it's a very well put together show. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got, action, comedy, surprise, suspense. It's got everything. It's a very well put together show. So if you need a show, if you're looking for a show to watch, give Fallout a try. I think you'd like it if you haven't watched it. I recommend it, and I don't recommend too many things because I don't watch too many things. But when I recommend it, I do it. I won't let you down. I promise. I only like the best of the best stuff. So, all right, take care.